When people talk about betrayal, they usually mean lovers, partners, or friends. But no one warns you about what it feels like when it comes from your own blood. My brother, Aaron Latham, had always been the golden child, charming, ambitious, the kind of person who could make anyone believe in him. I used to admire that about him. He could walk into a room full of strangers and leave with everyone laughing, trusting, and somehow doing him favors. I was quieter, more reserved, more careful. The one who double-checked the locks, balanced the checkbook, and remembered birthdays. He was the dreamer. I was the stabilizer. For most of my life, that balance worked, until the day it broke. It started small. One afternoon, Aaron called me, his voice casual, almost too casual. "Hey, Tess," he said, using that easy tone that always made me lower my guard. "Can you do me a tiny favor? Just a short-term thing. I need to cover some equipment for a client. I'll pay you back next week, I swear." I didn't think much of it. It wasn't the first time he'd asked for help, and he'd always paid me back before. "How much?" I asked. "Just $2,000, he said quickly. "You'll have it back by Friday." I hesitated for a second, not because I didn't trust him, but because I'd been saving for a down payment on a new apartment. Still, he was my brother. "All right," I said, "but this is the last time for a while, okay?" He laughed softly. "You're the best, Tess. Promise, this one's easy money. Just a week." A week turned into 2, then 3, then silence. When I called, he'd dodge the question, saying things like, "It's coming soon," or "I'm waiting on a payment." I didn't push, not yet, but something about the way he avoided specifics started to gnaw at me. Still, I told myself he wouldn't do anything stupid. He was family. 6 months later, I learned just how wrong I was. It was a Tuesday afternoon when I got a call from the Harborview Bank. The woman on the other end introduced herself as Claire Donovan, Account Services. She sounded polite but uneasy. "Miss Latham," she said, "we just wanted to confirm your scheduled payment for the business loan you co-signed with Mr. Aaron Latham." My heart skipped. "I'm sorry, what loan?" "The $85,000 small business loan," she said. "The first payment was due last week." For a moment, I couldn't breathe. "There must be a mistake," I said. "I never co-signed a loan." There was a pause, then the sound of paper shuffling. "We have your signature on file, ma'am." I felt dizzy. "Can you email me a copy of that document?" She agreed, and within minutes it arrived. I opened the attachment, and there it was. My name, my address, my signature at the bottom of a contract I'd never seen before. But the handwriting wasn't mine. It was close, terrifyingly close, but just off enough that I could tell. Aaron had forged my signature. I remember sitting at my kitchen table, staring at that PDF until my vision blurred. I wanted to believe it was a mistake, that maybe someone else had used my information, that my brother couldn't have done this. But when I called him, his voice cracked in a way that told me everything before I even asked. "Aaron," I said, trying to keep my tone steady, "did you take out a loan using my name?" There was silence. Then a shaky sigh. "Tess, listen, it's not what it looks like." "Don't," I snapped. "Don't lie to me." He hesitated again. Then, softly, "I just needed it to get through a rough patch. I thought I could fix it before you ever found out." I felt something inside me shatter. Not anger at first, just this cold, aching disappointment. $85,000, Aaron. You forged my signature? Do you even realize what you've done? "I'll pay it back," he said quickly. "I've got a deal lined up. Just give me a little time." I hung up. For the next 2 days, I didn't sleep. I pulled every financial record I had, contacted the bank, and explained the situation. They said they'd launch an internal review, but without proof the signature was forged, I was still legally tied to the loan. That was when I decided. If I wanted justice, I'd have to get it myself. I started by collecting evidence. Old messages where he'd asked for money, emails with different writing styles. I even compared our old birthday cards. His handwriting had certain quirks, like the way he looped his T and leaned his letters forward. I printed everything out and created a folder labeled Proof. Next, I requested the original signed documents from the bank, claiming I needed copies for my accountant. They mailed them a week later. Holding those papers, I felt a mix of rage and resolve. The signature wasn't just forged, it was sloppy. He hadn't even tried to change the pen pressure or slant. I took the documents to a handwriting analyst, a woman named Dr. Evelyn Sharp, who testified in forgery cases before. She examined them under magnification, tracing every curve and stroke. "This wasn't signed by you," she said confidently. "The formation of the lowercase t is inconsistent. See this hook at the end? That's a classic male handwriting trait." Her official report confirmed what I already knew, but now I had evidence, real, admissible proof. The next step was the hardest, deciding what to do with it, because no matter how furious I was, Aaron was still my brother. Reporting him would ruin him, maybe even send him to prison. But if I stayed quiet, I'd spend years paying off a debt I never owed. One evening, I went to our parents' house for dinner. Aaron was there, laughing like nothing had happened. Our parents, Ruth and George, were so proud of him. He'd told them he was expanding his consulting business. I watched him pour wine for everyone, charm them effortlessly, and something inside me snapped. I realized then he wasn't sorry. He never would be. So I started planning. Over the next few weeks, I worked closely with the bank's fraud department. I sent them Dr. Sharp's report, provided copies of my old signatures, and even gave them call logs proving I hadn't spoken to any of their representatives during the supposed loan signing. The investigation moved faster than I expected. Within a month, they confirmed the forgery and referred the case to law enforcement. An officer named Detective Miles Corbett contacted me, asking for a statement. He was calm, methodical, and assured me that financial forgery was taken seriously, especially when it involved large loans. "We'll file charges soon," he said, "but it's up to you whether you want to press them. If you do, he'll be formally served." I took a long breath. "I do." He nodded. "Then I'll need to know where he'll be on the date of service." That's when the idea hit me. Cruel, maybe, but poetic. Our parents' 40th wedding anniversary was coming up. A big dinner, family, friends, laughter. The perfect facade. I told the detective exactly where and when to find him. The night of the dinner, I felt an eerie calm. I wore a simple blue dress, nothing dramatic, and brought a small envelope with me, the same folder of proof I'd carried everywhere for weeks. My parents were radiant, their house glowing with string lights and soft music. Aaron was there, of course, all smiles, hugging guests, playing the charming son. When he saw me, he hugged me too, whispering, "You okay?" I smiled. Never better. Dinner went smoothly, at least at first. Toasts were made, laughter filled the room, and I almost felt like I was watching a play, one where everyone else had the wrong script. Then, just as dessert was being served, there was a knock at the door. Aaron looked confused. Expecting anyone? My father went to open it, and in walked Detective Corbett, dressed in plain clothes, holding a small stack of papers. "Aaron Latham?" he asked clearly. Aaron froze. Yeah?" "You've been served," the detective said, handing him the envelope. "You're being formally charged with financial fraud and forgery under state law." The room fell silent. Forks clinked. My mother gasped. Aaron's face went pale. What is this?" I leaned forward slightly. "It's what happens when you forge someone's signature on an $85,000 loan." He turned toward me, eyes wide with disbelief. You did this?" "I didn't do this, Aaron," I said quietly. "You did." My parents stared between us, horrified. My mother's hand flew to her mouth. "Aaron, please tell me this isn't true." He opened his mouth, but nothing came out. The detective handed him the remaining documents, then turned to me. "Thank you for your cooperation, Miss Latham. We'll be in touch." And then he left, as calmly as he'd come. The rest of the night was a blur. My father pulled me aside, demanding explanations. My mother cried. Aaron tried to talk to me in the driveway, insisting it was a misunderstanding, that I'd overreacted. I looked him straight in the eye and said, "You could have asked me for help. You could have told the truth. But instead, you made me your victim. You stole my name, Aaron. That's worse than stealing money." He didn't respond. A week later, the bank officially removed my name from the loan. I received a formal letter clearing me of all liability, along with a note from the investigator commending my persistence and thorough documentation. Aaron, on the other hand, was facing felony charges. He called me once more before his arraignment. I let it ring twice before answering. His voice was quiet, almost broken. "Tess, I didn't mean for it to get this far." I closed my eyes. "You never mean it, do you?" Silence. Then he said, "I guess I deserve this." For once, I replied, "You're right." After that, I blocked his number. Months passed. The case made local news. Man charged with forging sister's signature in financial scheme. People in our town whispered, but I didn't care. For the first time in years, I felt free. My credit was restored, my finances were clean, and my conscience was clear. Our parents eventually forgave him, but things were never the same. They still invite him to holidays, but he rarely shows up. The last I heard, he'd moved 2 states away, trying to start over. As for me, I used the experience as a kind of awakening. I'd always been the one to help, to protect, to fix. But now I understood something important. Sometimes protecting yourself is the moral choice. I started a small business consulting firm soon after, helping others secure their finances, set boundaries, and protect themselves legally. My first motto was simple: trust but verify, because I learned the hard way that even blood can lie, and sometimes the only way to stop the poison is to expose it, even if it's your own brother holding the cup. You've just stepped into her revenge side, where every wound finds its justice, and every silence ends with truth. If her story struck a chord, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Your support keeps these stories alive. Another secret waits in the next video. See how her revenge begins.